In a year that has produced some shocking upsets, on Saturday night, we were all treated to one of the most surprising outcomes to a prize fight in quite some time. A severe underdog entering his fight against Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos Jr. proved all the doubters wrong. Not only did the Australian survive the early onslaught by Teofimo, but he dropped the former unified champion in the first with a perfectly timed overhand right. Kambosos seemingly built a lead midway through, but Teofimo showed the heart of a champion, rallying back, dropping Kambosos in the 10th. Ultimately, it proved to be Kambosos' night as he captured a split decision victory to become, in his words, the emperor of the lightweight division. After the fight, Chris Mannix was able to secure some thoughts from the new and former unified lightweight champions. Check it out.
Have I changed my whole career? Never. I believed in myself, I backed myself, and I said it time after time. You might not believe me, but I believe in myself. And look at me now, I got all the jewels. I'm not the king. You got your 4 kings. I'm the emperor because I come to every other country and I take them out one by one. Listen, all respect to him, all respect to him. Thank you, New York City, Madison Square Garden. I love you all. Look at me. I'm the greatest fighter in Australian history, and that's no disrespect. I got all the belts. Hey, listen.
Fighter in history.
Listen, you're a true champ. Forget the rest.
Yo. You got, hell of a fighter, but I won tonight, man. And everybody know that. The referee raised my hand. I won tonight. I don't care what anybody says, yo. I won tonight. At the end of the day, I've been here. I've done that. I want to thank God. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. Look, I ain't no sore loser. I take my wins like I take my losses. At the end of the day, man, I'm a true champion. I came out here. I did what I had to do, and I went out there and I did my best. Yo, I don't care what anybody says, man. I am as real as they come. And watch, this is the takeover, man. We don't stop. We keep coming. Yo, at the end of the day, man, I scored 11-2. Well, 10-2.
You believed you won 10 of the 12 rounds?
Yes, I did. Everything happens for its reasons. I believe in God, man. I have faith in him. I ain't scared about this, and I ain't sad about this.
Teofimo, you have nothing to apologize for. That was a tremendous fight, one way or the other. But do you feel this should be your last fight at 135?
I've been feeling this for 2 years now, man. They've been draining me the whole time, man. It is what it is. Like I stood here when I should have just dropped the belts like everybody else did when they won all the belts, man. But no excuses, man. I don't want everybody to boo and like that, man. I come clean with this. At the end of the day, I love you all. Thank you to all my sponsors. Thank you to my endorsements. I appreciate you all. And this ain't the end of Teofimo Lopez. This is just the beginning.
Barack, when fighters are in a heavy firefight like that and a lot goes on and maybe a corner's not being completely truthful, do you give Teofimo the benefit of the doubt right after the fight for saying something like that? Maybe he needs to watch it. What was your assessment of the fight and what both fighters said to Chris Mannix?
Sometimes you give the fighter the benefit of the doubt because he might be concussed or there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of adrenaline. It's different sometimes, you being the person in the ring. You feel like you're dictating the fight. But no matter what, I think that there's an acceptable culture in boxing, and the acceptable culture doesn't involve excuses. It doesn't involve complaining about the verdict. I think about Shannon Briggs versus George Foreman, I believe George Foreman won that fight. I believe he won it easily, but they gave it to Shannon Briggs. And afterwards, George Foreman didn't complain. And when you have instances like that, it makes these instances look pretty bad. I think it was a competitive fight. It was a great fight. It's one of those fights where we could look back and say, hey, it's a candidate for fight of the year. But I think the right man won. And a lot of times fighters who are in fights much closer than this say, you know what, I got to go back and look at the tape. And I think that's more of an acceptable answer. But I do take into account the emotions that are going on and the adrenaline that's going on after a fight that's this compelling.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee that after watching the fight, meaning Teofimo Lopez watching a fight, he probably would feel different. He probably would be disappointed with some of the things that he did in the ring. And listen, we go back and forth with Chris Mannix, Barack, but I got to give him credit. He did call this kind of to a T. He said if Kambosos had a chance to win, he would have to endure that onslaught early, and maybe Teofimo, because of the inactivity, maybe will gas out later in the fight and he'll be able to outbox him. But that's actually what happened. And here's the thing. What I noticed about the fight, Barack, both guys were inactive for the same amount of time. So we really can't use that excuse. But I do feel Teofimo's only game plan was to go and steamroll Kambosos, which we didn't see. He tried earlier on, and to a certain degree in that first round, I said, man, this fight actually might end in the first round because of the aggressiveness. But we all saw him stay in the pocket, and he withstood that storm and then landed a big right hand that actually set the tone for the next few rounds. Even though there were a lot of power shots landed by Teofimo Lopez, this not by any means was this, a shutout. When I tell you that a lot of those rounds were hard to score, in my opinion, because of the big power shots that Teofimo landed, but Kambosos was busier, landing more flurries. But his defense was better. I think that was a difference throughout the fight, but I think Kambosos was able to roll with a lot of shots that Teofimo wasn't able to roll with, and the right hand was landing throughout the night. So, in my opinion, the X factor was defense. One guy had better defense than the other, and that's what pushed him over the edge in the fight. So, all credit to Kambosos for fighting a phenomenal fight, which no one believed, well, most didn't believe that he can do. We got a new champion, Barack.
Yeah, because even myself, I don't make predictions, and I gave Kambosos a chance. I even said, this can be something to remind us of Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson, where, Buster Douglas' family member had died. I think it was his mother right before the fight, and he went in there with so much confidence, so much belief in himself that he could not lose that night. And I said we can have a repeat of that when we were talking to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a nice story, but that's not going to happen," And I didn't believe that would happen, but I think it boils down to game plan. I think that the guy who we thought was the better fighter, more accomplished, more experienced. Obviously, those are facts. More accomplished, more experienced. He came in there with the game plan that did not work against Kambosos. And he was too tight, he was too wound up, looking for the knockout with every single shot and never adjusted. And that's the thing. And when you think back when Canelo versus Plant, Plant had a lot of success. And what did Canelo say afterwards? I was too tight. I got tired because I just wanted to hurt him so badly. And that's exactly what happened here. And even in the first round, when you said it looked like he was going to steam Kambosos, I was saying, you know what? He can also get caught. And then he got caught in the first round. And so I think it all boils down to game plan. He can be a great boxer. He did it against Lomachenko, but he didn't do it against Kambosos, going in there without respecting the man. He said that in one of the features, the Matchroom features beforehand. He said, I don't respect him. And he showed that in the ring, and that was his demise.
Yeah, I think adjustments, that word is key that you use there. There has to be adjustments on this level. And I don't want to blame anybody. I don't think the corner was great on giving advice to make adjustments. I think he is a better boxer, Barack. In fact, I think at times he's a lot quicker. I think Kambosos was beating him to the punch. And we all felt, well, at least a lot of us felt that Teofimo was the quicker, twitchier fighter. But we didn't see that. I think condition had something to do with that. Maybe the weight is playing a part. I know you don't like to use that, but maybe he'll be more comfortable at 140. No excuses. This was a big fight. He had a whole year to get ready for it. The speed wasn't there the way it normally is. The boxing ability wasn't displayed the way it normally is. There were no adjustments. There was only one thing in mind, is to knock Kambosos' head off. That doesn't always work. It didn't work on Saturday night.
Which we love. We love to see knockouts, but we like to see knockouts that are set up sometimes as well. And I think that's the problem. He didn't set up the knockouts. And Kambosos, like you said, he surprised us with his defense. He surprised us with his speed. But what he didn't surprise us with is with his will to win. He did not give up, even when he was hurt in the 10th round, came back and won the 11th and 12th round, in my opinion. Now, this is the thing. I'm not saying that it wasn't a competitive fight and Kambosos just blew him away. Hell no. I scored a 7-5 for Kambosos. I'm just saying that 10-2 doesn't really make sense, because the first round, obviously, Kambosos won, and 11th and 12th was clear victory rounds for Kambosos. And in the middle, he stole some rounds. So I just didn't agree with that 10-12 assessment. Obviously, with a fight of this magnitude, there were a lot of opinions from the world of boxing. Let's go to Twitter. We got first Ryan Garcia. He says, my return fight, I'll fight Kambosos. Devin Haney, he goes and says, I hope it all makes sense now. Teal was a effing fraud. Wow. Okay. Shakur Stevenson says, yo, George Kambosos, beautiful work, champ. You look great. I would love a shot at them belts if you're down. He's just going to go right to 135 now. Now's the time right for Shakur, I guess. Josh Taylor says, the result says it all. Don't kick a man when he's down. And then we got Jake Paul. You know he has to add his 2 cents in. He says, don't F with Australia. Congrats, George Kambosos. Then Manny Pacquiao, who actually George Kambosos used to be one of his sparring partners for a while, and he says, congratulations to my friend George Kambosos on an epic win. You helped me in so many of my past fights. I hope our hundreds of rounds of sparring helped you in some way tonight. And George responds and says, thank you for everything, Manny Pacquiao. The rounds we shared together shaped me to become the champion tonight. Thank you, brother. And last but not least, after Teofimo had some time to wind down, this is what he tweets. Thank you all for the love and the support tonight. I'm grateful for you all, and I know God has his plan set for me. They can punch me high, they can kick me low. It's going to take more than that to break my soul. God bless everyone and happy holidays. See you all back in the ring in 2022. 135 is what we say is the best division in boxing, and it's just like when Ruiz won the heavyweight championship. You add another player to the game. So this is definitely the best division. Oh man, what do you say?
Well, I'll say this, that the player that was added to the division for some reason, a lot of guys that even at 130, 135 feel like he is not much of a threat. They all want a piece of the pie. It does give me that, to your point where you said it on a live show the other day, that Buster Douglas 5. We all saw what happened after Buster fought the fight of his life against Mike Tyson. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with George Kambosos. He looks like a guy that's just determined to keep succeeding. But everybody's, all of those guys, even Shakur, those guys are saying, wait a minute, this guy's beatable. He has all the straps, even though he's undefeated. But that's just what they feel, Barack. I think a lot of people feel like Teofimo wasn't his best performance. I mean, it's a guy that beat Lomachenko. Let's not forget. He's a guy that knocked out Richard Coleman in 2 rounds. Teofimo's a special fighter. It wasn't his night. It was Kambosos' night. Everybody wants a slice of him, Barack. I think I know why. But hopefully these fights start to happen. There's no rematch clause. There was no rematch clause in the Lopez Kambosos fight because it was when it goes to purse bid, there's no rematch clause. And unfortunately, Teofimo's not going to get a chance to get all his titles back, but he's not comfortable in the weight anymore. So I don't think we ever see a rematch between Kambosos and Lopez.
Yeah, but that's yet to be seen because, Kambosos was humble. When Teofimo was saying things like, I won 10 rounds to 2, he was saying, let's do it again in Australia. That's something he said in the ring. I think he had some time to think about it and say, you know what, maybe I can move on. But one thing we know now is that next fight where he's defending all of those titles, it needs to be in Australia in front of 80,000, and that's what he says. And I don't think anybody will complain about that. He's probably going to be the A-side, so to speak, because he has all the titles. He would be what we would call the lineal champ, the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy.
That doesn't necessarily always mean the A-side, Barack. And also, Peter Kahn, I guess somebody tweeted out that his manager, Peter Kahn, says that he will make a voluntary defense in the spring of 2022 in Australia. So that doesn't mean it's going to be against another big name. I think they want to probably stay busy, do a homecoming fight in Australia against, an average challenger. So I don't think the Devin Haney fight happens in spring of 2022. Who knows?
Yeah, I understand that the A-side is a lot of times the most popular guy, but I don't think anybody in that division is that much popular that they would override all of the hardware that Kambosos just won. You know, I think they will all say, you know what, that doesn't matter to me. I'll beat him anywhere. I'll fight him anywhere. And I think that's what's more important. Even Lomachenko, who has the biggest name in that division other than Teofimo Lopez, I think he would travel for that fight. And that would be a huge fight in Australia, actually.